Readers, viewers, listeners, Batman fans everywhere. I'm Steve J. Ray, and welcome to issue number 3 of Detective Comics.
I'm James Attias, and every issue we will be looking at a different aspect of the Dark Knight over his 10-decade, 85-year history.
And I'm Adam Ray. I'm usually the one acting like the Oracle, editing this wonderful bat-flavored comment, but to cap off issue 3, I've been invited to offer the subject, and I can think of nothing better than taking our first deeper look into his rogues gallery. So, this is a question I've been sitting on since you delightful gentlemen put this project into my attention, so I think I have to ask it. We know full well, thanks to a story that's been on my father's attention, of what the Joker would be like without Batman. We saw in The Dark Knight Returns that he went into a vegetative, catatonic state, and then the moment that Batman emerges, I, much like how I greeted you when we started this call, went, darlings. But now I just want to ask you, other than happier, other than better adjusted, what would Batman be without the Joker?
Ooh, interesting.
This is the part where I just let you speculate, and we can go to sources and go through Elseworlds and go through what our hopeful headcanons may yet be. But let's address the question, shall we?
Because
my initial reaction, immediate thought is I can't say. It depends how the Joker became out of the picture, because that is
that'd make a difference.
Very important to.
Well, that's the joy of an open-ended question like this. We can talk about all of the different ways that the Joker may be out of the picture. Was the Joker even in the picture to begin with? Let's discuss it, guys. Come on, I'm putting you on the spot.
Blowing my mind, because obviously everyone always looks at the other side of the story. What would the Joker be without Batman? But damn, that's deep. Well, let's be fair. For about a year in the Golden Age, there was no Joker. Batman's first real villain was Hugo Strange, who's still around today. But
well, didn't he die in the Arkham Tower prelude?
Well, that's the thing. God, that's really thrown me. I was not expecting that at all.
This is exactly what I wanted.
Because for a good, it's only the Golden Age. As soon as Joker appeared in Batman #1 in 1940, they were going to kill him off, but they wrote a second story. It was twice in that issue, bringing him back immediately. So, wow. James, talk for a bit, because I'm having to switch my brain on.
I think that would be the first catalyst of Batman hanging up the cowl and letting an heir take over, because Joker is one of, if not the only villain that he would not trust his family to handle and would want to handle himself.
That's good.
Oh, that's an interesting choice of words. Would he? I feel like after a long enough time, especially in current continuity, he would be able to trust the tenured guys like the Grayson to be able to handle him. Jason Todd, no, he'd probably pop a cap and just be done with it. Yeah. I agree with the sentiment, but I think he'd worry that the Joker's still too extreme for other members of the family to handle, and he would be willing to put himself on the line first rather than risk any of the people that he's trained and raised.
I mean, of course, this is all assuming that Joker was around and then went. Because if Joker was around and then went, I'd agree with the Jason Todd thing. But if Joker never existed in the first place, Jason Todd wouldn't have been murdered by the Joker and gone crazy. I mean, he was always a little bit off kilter, a little bit darker than Dick Grayson, because he was a street kid and a thug and a Batmobile tire stealing teenager. But he could have been saved. I mean, I do still think that Joker killing him is what threw him completely off the deep end. I mean, because James and I mentioned Batman the Cult in issue 1 of the show, where Jason was the hero and Batman wouldn't have made it without him. So Jason was perfectly capable. It's only his murder at Joker's hands that threw him off the edge. So it wouldn't just change Batman's life. All the sidekicks would be affected greatly. If Joker never existed, they'd all be in a better place, I think.
No Tim Drake, because Jason wouldn't.
Yeah, that would be my first point as well. Yeah, there would be no Tim Drake, yeah.
And no Duke Thomas, because his family were attacked in the 0 Year events. Damien might still pop up, but then it would be Bruce, Dick, and then Damien. Oh no, and Jason and Damien. That would be because the first time Damien met Tim, he slit his throat, didn't he? So, see how would Jason react to that?
The giant dinosaur into a chasm in the Batcave. So yeah.
But yeah, like a lot of the Bat family would be
happy and well adjusted.
Yeah.
Ish. Still dressing like creatures of the night and beating up crooks, but this is fascinating. I mean, let's go down the different roads then. First of all, there was a Joker, and then he went. So that opened up the whole can of worms. Did Batman end him, or did he end up a victim of his own schemes and died? Should we go down that road first? That we did have a Joker, but then we lost him.
Yeah, because then we just have to wonder like how extreme that Joker's actions got to. Was Jason Todd in the picture?
There's a moment in the Arkham Origins game where Joker is standing on the edge of the building, and the whole thing he's standing on explodes, and he goes flying into the distance, and he could die. He could fall to his death, and Batman saves him. Joker's blown this thing up. He's blown himself off the roof, and he's falling and laughing, and Batman saves him. And I thought to myself, if you use Batman Begins logic here with the I don't have to save you like logic, then Joker did this to himself, like same as Ra's al Ghul in Batman Begins, put himself on the train and blew it up. Should Batman just have let him die? Why did he save him? It's not like he was being murdered. It was like a suicide. So if Batman let the Joker kill himself, what we think, like Bruce is going to pop the bottle of champagne he's had since 1939 in the cellar and just topping up everyone's glasses. Like it really does. Like I've always thought that. Like, what if the Joker killed himself trying to kill Batman? That's something I've had noodling around. I also, like, a topic you've robbed of me that I was saving up for a future issue.
Oh, terribly sorry.
We'll bring it out here. I was thinking, if the Joker had to die, so I'm a bit more morbid than your open-ended one, who deserves the honor or privilege of killing him?
Ooh.
And I was going to say, like, you've got here's like your multiple choice answer. You've got your Batman, who has fought him more than anyone. You've got Jason Todd, who wants to kill him more than anyone.
Technically sort of did in Three Jokers.
Yep. Harley Quinn, which we thought was going to be the end of Joker War. Harley Quinn, because he's... And Barbara Gordon. Or Jim Gordon. The Gordons. So
we can totally discuss that right here, right now. That's a great question.
That was
save it for a future show, but Jim Gordon, after losing Sarah and having his daughter crippled for years by the Joker, that's probably got the best reason. But let's remember that Harley was tortured by the evil so-and-so for years before she was free of his influence. But I want to go back to your point, James. See, what bugs me about the Christopher Nolan movies started with that scene, because the Batman, the real Batman, wouldn't have ever done that. He would have done what he did in Arkham and saved Ra's al Ghul no matter what. Because Batman, even allowing someone to die at their own hands, isn't Batman. So let's circle back to the Joker kills himself in one of his own traps and Batman's not there. That could work.
Okay.
So if that's the case, if it's early in Batman's career before Jason, I agree. I think Batman would have retired a lot earlier and passed the mantle to Dick or any of his successors. Now, with Joker dying before Jason's death, Jason would have gone on to be a crook and maybe someone of Joker caliber level malevolence anyway. So maybe his own Red Hood of his own kind. You may never have met him, so it could have gone worse.
Jason Todd's dad killed by Two-Face. Well, in some stories.
Yeah.
And
in modern continuity, yes.
And his mum was the drug addict.
Yeah.
But then, so Jason could have sought vengeance to Two-Face instead of Joker. So you've still got a little bit of Jason Todd there. And if it was like Joker was around and Jason Todd was Robin and then Joker bit the bullet, would Jason have gone off with his mum, who was there at the end? So you've got that option.
It's a whole can of worms not having the Joker, isn't it?
It is.
It really is.
I like to think that Batman would, Batman would think exactly the way I'm thinking about this and not believe he's dead.
So maybe he would have gone a bit more screwier than usual.
Yep, he would like.
Joker's behind this. Joker's dead.
He's just obsessed because he has to
been dead so many times. Is he?
This is his MO. He's like, but he's dead. He's been dead for 10 years. He's like, no, I never believed he was dead. Like, would he go like a bit mad? Like,
maybe. Oh, I like that one.
I feel like the only one who would like cope well after all this would be Dick.
Yeah. Well, Dick is the most well-adjusted out of the whole family. Let's be fair. But yeah, I mean, Batman Joker went off the deep end. As soon as Batman retired in that hypothetical future of the Dark Knight Returns, like Adam said right at the beginning of the issue, he just went into a catatonic state and didn't wake up until Batman reappeared. So perhaps without his greatest nemesis and the reason to keep him going, Batman would be happy and retire and pass on the mantle. Or he could go completely gaga without that constant threat of, I need to be out there because my worst enemy could come back at any moment, and he's completely unpredictable. So nice shout.
And in lieu of my background and your background, you've inspired me. Would Bruce have ended up with Andrea Beaumont?
Possibly. First shot for happiness.
She's the one to kill him.
Ooh, good one.
I mean, Mask of the Phantasm, Adam and I had one of our best chats reviewing that for the I Am the Night podcast.
I love that one. I listened to that one.
And I blew Adam's mind at the end saying that this is a story where Batman loses. He loses the girl. He doesn't catch the bad guy. He's framed for murder, and that's the only thing that he's saved of at the end, because Joker, with his flying cameras, reveals that Phantasm was the killer. But apart from that, Batman did not have a good day.
No.
Now, Andrea Beaumont is still out there, and if anyone wants to kill the Joker for the death of her father, it's Phantasm.
Yeah.
And we've all read
that with
Batman Catwoman.
Yeah, that's it, yeah. And obviously they thought she killed the Joker, but then many years later it turns out he was just old and living in Florida and wearing makeup.
Because there's no Batman.
Because there's no Batman. Oh, I like the idea, because the idea of Joker without a Batman is he would be bored.
Yes.
Like there's a comic in the early 90s, one of the first ones, like where there's a Joker impersonator going around, and it's like spurs the real Joker, spurs him to come out of hiding, and there's an image on it of Joker just sitting in the dark room with the shadows, and all you can see is like the hair and the suit. And I always thought, like, is that what he does? A good friend of mine said, like, the idea of the Joker just sitting in a room emotionless, and then all of a sudden that comes to life like a snake, like a predator, like a spider.
I've seen him that way, yeah.
That scares the bejesus out of me. And
absolutely.
Like, would Batman sit in the cave in the dark, and then all of a sudden there's a Joker impersonator and it brings him out? Like, I'm sure you've reviewed this episode, the I Am the Night episode of Batman the Animated Series, when it starts with Bruce sitting in the cave, in the chair, the cave behind me, and he says, "I'm tired, Alfred." Like, looks at the newspaper and penguins out of Blackgate, but this time, like, without the Joker, the looming threat of someone absolutely destroying the city. Like, there are threats. There's Riddlers, there's Two-Faces, there's like Poison Ivies, but the Joker has always been the one. He is the one. And like, people say Bane is his greatest foe, and I love all the stories.
Yeah.
Everyone knows Joker is the other side of the coin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And without the Joker, would Batman literally eradicate all crime, have all the people in Arkham being rehabilitated, or like just actually imprisoned and like not being able to escape, and grow old? Like, would that be it?
I honestly see it that way. He'd either go nuts with no Joker, or he'd end all other crime because he could. The other ones, like you say, compared to Joker, everyone else, apart from maybe Ra's al Ghul, is a piker. They're no real threat. Temporarily, Bane beat him, but he came back. I mean, let's not forget, when Azrael took over as Batman, right at the beginning when Azrael was Batman, there was a story which has never been collected, which really annoys me, called The Death of Batman the Movie, where Joker makes a film in Hollywood called The Death of Batman, and he lures John Paul, who he thinks is Batman, just gone a bit high-tech, into a trap by throwing a woman dressed as Robin off a roof. And as soon as Batman saves her, gets into the building and starts fighting the thugs, because he's a trained assassin and a brutal beast, and not the martial arts legend that the real Batman is, Joker sees right through him. Just by the way he's fighting, he says, hang on, wait, the brutality, the sheer mindless violence.
That's not my Batman.
It's not him. It's not bloody him. Joker would know. So
we have the other end of the spectrum on that with Return of the Joker, with Batman Beyond, when Terry McGinnis is fighting him at the end, he kicks him in the nuts. Mm-hmm. He's like, "What are you doing?" The old Batman class, like, and Joker knows Batman better than anyone, and he also knows when someone is not Batman.
Yep, straight away. He saw through Jean Paul and Terry immediately. So let's reverse that. So without Joker being the positive person that I am, I think Bruce would rid Gotham of crime, and Batman would take over as the Dick Grayson would take over as the Batman of Bloodhaven, and slowly but surely they'd go through the states and clean up the house. The real reason Batman remains Batman, like you said, James, is because Joker's still out there.
Now,
and
I was going to say, being Batman fans, we know that everything we're talking about right now is exactly what we would want to happen. We want Bruce to be happy, but we have to look at the other end of the spectrum here of, if Bruce kills him or if Bruce goes off the deep end, it could go real sour real fast, because obviously Batman Who Laughs was a Joker who, if you killed him, his heart would release the Joker toxin, creating
turn you into the Joker.
The next person would be the Joker, and in that Earth it is Batman. So
terrifying. That's
a version where Batman kills him and becomes the Joker, which is, I think, Adam, you would agree, would be another obvious, like, he retires and is happy. But
unfortunately,
there's far too many. No, I was going to say, in comic books, Batman never gets a happy ending, which is why.
Exactly. That's part of the reason we love him, and he's still going for 85 years.
Yeah.
But that's also why the Joker exists, consistently denying him that happy ending and denying.
Well, Joker just wants to be the focus of his life.
Yeah, the obsession, the adoration.
Do you guys remember, as memes go, this is actually one of my favourites of all time, where Batman's sitting talking to Superman. And Batman says, a lot of people say that I should kill my villains. By letting them live, they're committing more crimes and killing more people. I mean, should I? And Superman says, no, absolutely not. Don't stoop down to their level. You're a hero, Batman. Part of the reason I admire you so much is because you don't kill your villains. He says, but what about Joker? Oh, no, you should have killed him years ago. And that's the question, though, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
That's the whole underlying root. And then that meme stuck with me, because I actually do think that Superman would say that, because this is the era of the modern age of comics, where at first Batman and Superman, even though they respect each other, they're at loggerheads and they are not friends. If we go back to John Byrne's Man of Steel, Batman concealed a bomb upon his person and threatened to blow himself out if Superman touched him. But he said, an innocent victim will die if you come near me. He didn't tell Superman it was him, that he would die. But at the end, he says, right, okay, we've won the case, we've caught Magpie, here's the bomb. He goes, well, you had that on you the whole time? He goes, yeah. Superman, in this reality, ended the General Zod of the Pocket Universe, where Matrix, the Supergirl of that Earth, came from. Because he knew that if these superpowered villains got to his Earth, there's no way he could beat them, because these were villains who had the same power levels as the Golden and Silver Age Superman, who was throwing planets around, who was unbeatable. Then the crisis came, and the modern day Superman was much, much weaker. I mean, still God level superhuman, but a lot more manageable. He couldn't take on those Kryptonians. And obviously their kryptonite is slightly different to his, so he ended them with kryptonite. I think that Superman would be behind getting rid of the Joker for that reason.
We saw what happened when Superman got rid of the Joker himself in the Injustice story.
There you go. But what Joker did, though, come on.
Yep. One of the worst.
He made Superman see his pregnant wife, Lois Lane, as the Joker. Oh, no, it's Doomsday.
Doomsday, yeah.
And he killed his own pregnant wife thinking that Doomsday had come back for him. And when he found out it was the Joker's thing, he literally ripped Joker's heart out in front of the whole world.
Yeah. Bruce tried to take down Superman. Like, no, I'm really sorry about your wife who was pregnant, Clark, my best friend. And, well, thank you for killing the world. Probably the most horrific murder in history. But yeah, no, I'm going to take you in.
Because Batman's moral code is still that strong. He can't justify that kind of violence, even if it does have a positive means. And even then, that's still Batman's code just through and all for it. I'm just thinking back to Cacophony when the Joker's just been riddled with bullets and like on death's door. And Jim Gordon's like, no, what are you doing? Leave him. You didn't kill him. This is an easy way that's off of your conscience. But he's like, no, he is still a person that is dying. I am going to do my duty. So like we commend that level of like honor and heroism here, because like I don't think any of us could do that.
Thing to do.
Is it ever right to kill anyone? Really? Could you go back? Could you go back and like deal with baby Hitler? Could you be the doctor with those two wires? Coward or killer?
Coward every time. But is it right?
That's why comics are a lot deeper than we expect. There's a lot of ethics and moral philosophy here.
DC Comics, Jim Lee, if you're listening, my idea about if who should have the honor of killing Joker, I had like what story would pan out of that, depending on who killed him. In this instance, I was thinking, say Jason Todd killed him, finally. After that, anyone it could be, you have the trial of Jason Todd. And then you have the court case of them saying he's a murderer, but then you have the defense saying he killed the Joker. Why are you sending him to prison? You should be putting him on a pedestal. And then you have the whole instance of like it could have been any of them. It could have been Barbara Gordon. She's like, he shot me in the spine, or like, and he's murdered 1 million people. Jim Gordon, like I was a police officer, like at the time, like Jim Gordon could shoot him and not go to prison because he has a private investigator's license. He has a gun license, probable cause because the Joker's the most wanted man ever.
Self-defense.
Yep.
But then in a story like that, I can just imagine Batman being a witness for the defense, and it gets to the climax of the story where Jason Todd picks apart. Yeah, but then Jason Todd picks apart his entire logic based on all the things that we've just talked about.
Yeah.
It'd be a real "you can't handle the truth" moment.
Yeah. Jack Nicholson. There you go. There's another Joker.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God! You could do that whole court scene again in Joker mode.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a brilliant topic. You've really made me think. Because Batman, like you say, is that force for good, is that moral compass above anyone else, not just in the DC universe. I mean, I know that Daredevil has a very similar mentality, but Daredevil's come close to killing Kingpin and many of his villains a lot more frequently than Batman's. Batman's stoically, totally, 100% refused to kill Joker because he does what we talked about in Arm of the Night as well, that he believes that anyone's capable of redemption. But White Knight, where Joker is cured and he becomes a hero, meaning that Gotham doesn't need Batman anymore. How about that scenario if Joker actually gets well and permanently? What would happen to Batman? I mean, there's so many ways it could go.
Well, like we saw in the White Knight storyline, Joker's sort of legal prowess almost just muscled Batman off of the streets of Gotham.
Yeah.
You proved that Batman was more of a menace than half the villains he fought, and for many examples, he probably is. But I hate to think of them out there and not him.
Batman being Batman is like, no, I'm not going to let you take me in. And then Gotham being like, we should enlist a whole bunch of bad guys to get him to come in, and then chaos every time. That's it. So I've always wanted the perfect ending for Batman himself. Like, what is the ending for Batman? Like, And in the New 52, right at the end of Batman Endgame, you had Batman and Joker fighting down in the caves, and they both died. When I read that, I was like they were like, should we send someone down to save you? And he said, I'm just taking a breather with my friend. Joker's like can't move, he's paralyzed, and Batman has been stabbed multiple times, he's dying, and they're sitting next to each other, and like going out together was always how I would be like, that Bruce makes the ultimate sacrifice, ending his own life to end the Joker's at the same time. So you don't have the murder, it's a double, they're both gone. And that for me, I was like, the stuff that came after, super heavy, I could do without. But that as an ending for me, I thought was wonderful. I love the idea that Batman takes out the Joker, and if he dies doing it, then it's like the heroic sacrifice. But then
that's the only way that would work for me.
From the rubble, I can't get out of my head that he wouldn't trust that the Joker is fully gone. Like, I think Batman would go nuts. I think he would be like, did you hear that? Someone laughing? And they'd be like, no. Like, he'd just go off the deep end. Ugh.
Yeah, I mean, I did like what came after, to the extent where they didn't die, but Bruce just became a nice, happy, ordinary guy with a life. But still behind the scenes, Joker, who was having a nice, simple, ordinary life working at Arkham of all places, still couldn't stand it. Or maybe he just hated the Jim Gordon Batman with the bunny-eared bat robot, and that's what drove him back to the life of crime. But
yeah, he was sitting on the bench, wasn't he? He was like, "Hi, my name's Joe," and you're like, "Oh."
I just,
Bruce was dating Julie Madison and
again
to the shower with her and all her tattoos. Like Joker sitting on a park bench with a balloon. Like,
it's because you don't want to imagine Batman fighting to the end of his days. But the other thing Scott Snyder did in that run was that Batman always has a plan, and if any of his psychics proteges don't become Batman, he'll clone himself forever, transfer his memories, and it will always be Bruce Wayne as Batman. And I thought that idea was incredible. But it's still tragic and sad. I'd like to see Batman have his Gothtopia and retire with Selina and have lots of Batcat babies. But would that sell comics? It really wouldn't. And to keep that going, and people say Batman's overused, people say Joker's overused. But I say, while they're still giving us good stories, and they still do, keep that battle going forever. I mean, Adam, you reviewed Batman Joker, the Deadly Duo, and how awesome was that? I mean,
my highlight of comics from 2023, honestly. It's phenomenal storytelling, because at no point did they ever trust each other, but they kept that dynamic alive just from the quality of their rapport, handled by a writer who clearly knew these characters so phenomenally well. That's why questions like this are always still fascinating, because they're just so closely linked, but it's impossible to extricate them from each other almost. They're always, you always think about one, you always think about one without the other.
Sorry, you finish.
No, you're good. I'm just saying that.
Joker tied up. They've got him wearing a zipped up face mask.
Yep.
And like,
you're still scared that any minute he's going to
break out. If he doesn't help him, Harley will die, or he will die. Anything like that, they still treat it as if they turn their back on him. If the whole world could go to hell, he would still stab them in the back.
He's just there, bound up, seeing nothing, hearing nothing, can't speak, but somehow he's still in a position of power.
Yep.
Like perfectly imprisoned, because that's just how reckless and dangerous he is, and that's just how the character's always meant to be defined, if you ask me. There's something so effortlessly sinister that he just can't be trusted at any point, which is why he'll always be that wonderful point of contention unless he isn't, which is why this has been the exact sort of topic of conversation I was hoping for.
Mind-blowing conversation. This is one of the best subjects. I never would have seen this coming ever. Because, like James said, you either want Batman to die happy, but we know that Batman's not happy unless he's Batman. That's the whole purpose of his being. I honestly think that some part of him was actually even relieved when he was jilted at the altar by Selina. even though he loved her with all his heart. And so many people have complained about that comic, but I think that's one of the best comics I've ever read because that's exactly what would have happened.
Batman would not be Batman if he was happy.
Yeah.
Yep.
He's not allowed to be. He can't be. Otherwise, his ability to defend Gotham would be compromised.
Yeah.
And Selina recognized that in Catwoman #1. She was like,
yeah,
it would be selfish of me to keep you for myself because Gotham needs you more, despite how much we love each other.
Which is doubly ironic because that's exactly what Joker wants to do, keep Batman for himself. And there was a lovely scene recently as well where Joker says to Batman, I let you live all these years. I let you live because I love you and I can't live without you. And Batman said, well, I let you live all these years as well. And I hate you. And that says it all, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I think it's almost said better in probably one of my favorite pieces of Batman media, the Lego Batman movie, where they somehow frame the whole movie as this weird, unlikely queer romance. Because right at the end, it just goes, "I hate you, I hate you too." Like it's this tender romantic moment, even though there is actual contempt for the level of destruction the Joker's wrought to this version of Lego Gotham. But it's still, even though it's cartoonized and like packaged for little kids, it's still so true to form for the comics because they are bound together because. Well, again, like another piece of Batman media, as Heath Ledger said, you complete me, because they just understand each other that deeply, and in that weird sort of quasi romance sphere. Even though there is a lot of hate and contempt,
there is codependency there. There's definitely codependency there.
But then I also think back to again, I mentioned it a little bit earlier, Cacophony, because like there is a moment where Joker says, "We can dance this forever, but I do want to kill you one day." And he means that.
As long as he's having fun, he's going to keep him alive. But then the minute he gets bored.
Okay, so let's turn this around then. Because I agree with you. I think that one day Joker will have enough of the game. He's that chaotic, that insane, that unbound. If the Joker does one day decide, yeah, I've had enough, and kills Batman, I actually think that the second he does that, he'll kill himself too. A la Dark Knight.
Yeah.
Where Batman says, I'm not going to kill you, but I'm going to do the next best thing, and cripples him. And Joker says, oh, no, I'm not having that. And he ends up breaking his own neck.
Like in Dark Knight Returns.
Yeah. I honestly see, like you said earlier, Batman taking out the Joker as a heroic act to save everyone else. Great. Or Joker does kill him and then says, what's the point? I think he'll end himself as well, because there is that love, hate, need each other. What's the point me going on for both of them, not just for Joker? Because Batman, like you said, can't be happy. And if he retired and got old and fat and drunk and rich, that would kill me.
When you mentioned the wedding of Bruce and Selina, it made me think of. But before we talk about that, let's talk. I have to tell you about the War of Jokes and Riddles.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Ended with the Joker stopping Batman from killing the Riddler. Joker stopped him because he knew that would be more painful for Batman, knowing that you were going to kill him, and the only reason you didn't is because of me. Like Joker's form of torture, he knows Batman so well.
Yeah.
Like I'm trying to rack my brain because I can picture it, but I can't remember where. Is instances of Joker saving Batman's life. Like the most prolific and horrific killer in all of comic book history, and he saves Batman's life.
That's happened a few times.
Yeah, it's just like
yeah.
That's the torture. That's because he's stabbed, shot, like tortured Bruce in so many ways, but it's the psychological torture that is how he gets you.
Because I think in Batman's own way, if Batman went out doing some heroic feat, anything from like Stranger in a Burning Building to hundreds of hostages in like a cruise ship or whatever, if he goes out doing something heroic, Batman's okay with it.
Yeah.
So the Joker swooping in to save him is another way of prolonging the torture, prolonging their sort of like brinkmanship almost. So there's definitely like a reason for Joker to actually do something unlikely and heroic and saving Batman's life just for the sake of keeping his best friend around today.
exactly that. He would do it just to keep Batman.
And he has multiple times.
So many times. I mean, the fact of his entire existence being revolving about that endless game. And it's so tragic that Bruce wants to end it desperately, but will not take a life. And Joker just wants to keep it going and keep it going and keep it going. So they're stuck in that never-ending cycle.
And it's like Joker's punishing him because every time he keeps it going, he's like, I'm going to kill a bunch more people because of you.
It takes us back to what many, including the three of us, I believe, still consider the greatest Joker story of all time, The Killing Joke.
Oh, yeah.
And those opening scenes with Batman going to Arkham and saying, listen, it's going to happen one day. I'm going to kill you, or you're going to kill me. Sooner or later, one day it's going to happen. And I just wanted once to try and end that, to stop that from happening. And Joker won't.
Nope. Yeah, because you talked about the cycle of Batman would never stoop to that murderous level. But then eventually Joker breaks out of Arkham, puts some people on hostages, gasses some people, point blank some people, and is like, look what you let me do. You let me do this. You're my enabler too, you know. But
he's such an emotional black.
Yeah.
Look what you made me do.
Over that, look what you let me do. If I'd stayed behind, or if you'd killed me, this wouldn't have happened. You let me do this. Thanks.
You've just opened my eyes to something, Steve, that I've never really thought of before. That conversation between Batman and Joker isn't between Batman and Joker.
It's not. He's already escaped, yeah.
So what would have happened if it was Joker?
Well, we know because it happens at the end of the book.
Oh, yeah.
Where Batman captures Joker and Joker just tells him a joke about two lunatics trying to get out of Arkham. And the genius of that joke is how true it is, because Batman is the guy who wants to shine the torch. And he's showing the Joker the way out. And Joker said, no, you turn the torch off and that'd be the end of me. I mean, that joke isn't about two lunatics. It's about Batman and Joker. In my mind, that's how I've interpreted it.
Yeah.
And if you look at it that way, it's like you said, it's that never-ending cycle. And that's the way I see their relationship playing out for another 85 years when we're all long gone and three other mad Batman fans are recording a podcast. And if they have this level of conversation, then let it carry on for another 85 years.
But it'd be good for them because they get to reference us and they'll be like, yes, we're just quoting these three guys. They just started it first. We're just extending the conversation, as it were.
We'll be the Denny O'Neills, Neil Adamses of that generation.
And they're doing detective comments beyond.
Oh, like it. We should put a copyright on that now. Oh, speaking of copyrights again, in the next few years, Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Joker will become public domain. Or at least the original iterations of them from the Golden Age will. And I'm terrified to think of what could happen next, because all these Winnie the Pooh horror movies, Mickey Mouse horror movies, Peter Pan horror movies. I like a bit of horror, but I don't have time for that. You don't have to destroy a character to make them interesting.
I think the easiest one for them to use will be Batman, because he's popular now. But Superman obviously couldn't fly and didn't have his heat vision, so a lot of the elements will be limited. But Batman,
Batman of the 40s is closer to the Batman of today than anything that happened in the 50s or 60s.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for nothing, Comics Code Authority.
Yeah. Damn you.
Oh, but still, people didn't like it when Batman said the F word in Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Oh, stop it. Yeah. People didn't like it when he got his willy out in Batman Damned. Actually, no, people love that.
People had feelings about that. Let's go with that.
Yeah, people had definite emotional connection to that moment. But a world without a Joker and what would happen to Batman? Dude, I love you for coming up with this.
I've just had you reminded me of something else I was going to say. When I can't remember if it's Batman and Joker or if it is another superhero and villain, but it might even be Sabretooth and Wolverine, but the villain keeps attacking the hero to keep them sharp.
Yeah.
And would Batman, now without a Joker, would he get sloppy?
Maybe.
Like Kato and Inspector Clouseau with you to attack me at all times.
So good. So good.
Would Batman become a bit sloppy and he'd be like, oh, it's just Riddler. No big deal.
Honestly, possibly, because as we said, except for like maybe Bane and maybe Ra's al Ghul, there aren't any threats that are on that level. So maybe and to quote one of my favorite films, a person either stays sharp or they get sloppy, they don't change. So maybe he's there to sort of keep Batman on his toes because the Joker demands the best out of Batman. He has to, just to be able to like keep the competition up and keep the deadly rivalry up. So that's a really fun idea. I love that a lot.
That's the one that works for me the most as well, because we've said it on this very issue that Batman carries on because he knows that one day Joker will be back. He's been presumed dead so many times. I mean, for us, it's 85 years. For him, it's probably about 20. But Joker always comes back. And like you said, James, earlier, which is a brilliant little touch, that even if Joker was dead, would Batman completely believe it? So he would either, I think he would lose his edge, or he would go slightly bananas.
Yep.
And all it takes is one bad day.
Yeah. We saw in the Arkham Knight game that when Joker, like literally the opening scene is him being cremated. After the years between Arkham City and Arkham Knight, Joker is dead. He's dead, like he's not coming back, but there he is. He's being cremated, but then there he is. He lives on in Bruce's mind as a constant reminder. So even if Joker is dead, he lives on in Bruce's mind.
It shows that even after all these years, there's still a very above average twinge of insanity in Batman's mind, because you kind of have to be a quote unquote ordinary man, but to do what Batman does.
Yep.
But he uses that as motivation to keep up this heroic quest. But yeah, I remember those games very vividly, and that just like playing with, is it hallucination? Is it a ghost? You're never quite sure. But that's just the effect that one figure in his past had. And I think maybe that construct in his own mind is sort of there to fill that I'm going to be here as the worst possible sparring partner sort of deal. Because as opposites and as antagonists, they don't really, they really trust each other, because like without any gimmicks or gadgets, Batman wipes the Joker out in a fist fight every single time.
Totally.
That somehow Joker just has that immense level of threat that makes him have to be answered every single time. That's why he's still that true threat. But a world without him
punches.
Oh yeah,
because he doesn't want to kill him.
Yeah.
Whereas Joker can turn off the pain receptors in his brain using newly learned meditation.
Yeah.
If he is like, hit me again, and then Batman's like, all right, if I hit him again, he's going to die. And then Joker strikes him, pulls a knife out of his sleeve, like has a gun in his boot, anything. Like all of a sudden,
I've seen it. Yeah,
the strength is almost a bit of a burden for Batman. Like, but it's sure is fun to think about, isn't it?
But really we've even seen the reverse of it, where he hears the Joker in the Arkham Knight game. But we've seen it in the comics as well, again with Sean Murphy's White Knight universe, where Joker literally plants an AI version of himself in Batman's brain so that he sees a Joker Jack Napier amalgam in his own mind. And it actually spurs him on to be Batman again and become a better Batman and everything else. So I think the ultimate question is, will Joker ever be totally gone, even when he's dead? Because he will haunt Batman forever. He is Batman's tool, the one who makes him, gives him his edge, the one who makes him the ultimate crime fighter. And he spurs Batman on to keep on being Batman. So without him, is there even a Batman to talk about? Deep.
I think Batman suffers in a world without the Joker, but the world benefits without the Joker.
Yeah.
Which is the tragic thing about it, because we read Batman to see him as this heroic figure, but it's hard to be truly heroic when you don't have a great evil to defeat consistently.
Yeah. But Joker is the one villain where sometimes I read the comic and I think, oh, Bruce, just end this.
Do it.
Just do it. And I feel bad for thinking that way. I mean, Joker's that type of polarizing character. I mean, I'm going to shock you now, James. I've only seen the Joaquin Phoenix Joker movie once in the cinema because it disturbed me so much that I sympathized for him. Psychopathic murderer, that I felt for him and I felt bad for him, and I felt that a lot of what he did was justified, that I hadn't been able to bring myself to watch that film again. I don't even own a copy. And I think it's a fantastic film. I think it's a brilliant film. I think it's a cinematic masterpiece. But I felt bad for feeling sympathy for this character. That's how good that film and that portrayal and that writing was.
I've got 3 responses to that, so I've got to get them out quick before I forget them. My first one is before I saw the film, I was preaching around. I was like, they're making a Joker movie. That's what everyone needs, a Joker movie. Because I was convinced if they glamorized the character, which they didn't, which I'm glad about. If
they didn't at all.
Then it would spur on, same as Heath Ledger's Joker, a bunch of people who were like, oh, I love the Joker. I want to be the Joker. And I was terrified of that. So I was glad they didn't glamorize it. Secondly, when I first saw the film in the cinema, I saw it in the States when I was visiting my wife's family. In the cinema row in front of us was a young lady watching the film, and we heard a noise coming from her. She had a baby with her, holding the baby, watching the film.
What?
I don't like that.
I was sitting there like, oh my God, 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 oh my God.
Yeah.
Like in my head, it was just like,
only in America.
He's going to grow up to be a serial killer. Like,
maybe.
So there's that's always changed me. And my last point, I think it was Quentin Tarantino who said the film was made so well that in the scene where the Joker is holding the gun to Robert De Niro, the audience would have been annoyed if he didn't kill him.
Yeah.
Yes.
That is a murder of an innocent man. He hasn't done anything wrong. And the audience feels like they would have lost it. They would have been like, it's terrible if he hadn't have blown his head off. That is the beauty of the film. Like, it just shows like the way it's framed. Like, you want this man to break. You want him to snap. Which, that's it. That's my 3 points to 3 different ways to shock you.
I think my big takeaway from that film was that not anyone could be that level of sinister, psychopathic, irredeemable killer, but that kind of sycophantic, terrifying killer could be anyone. That's the scary part of it.
One bad day.
One bad day. And that's why I think there was such good magic in the Matt Reeves shovel face version of the Batman, because like I think it was your exact words when we came out of the cinema when we saw it, Paul Dano's Riddler. He looked like such an unsuspecting guy. He looked like the guy you sit next to going through the stacks in a comic shop.
My little brother.
Yeah. But again, that kind of tortured, dangerous psycho could be anyone, and the Joker sort of puts all of those anxieties about it into one brightly coloured package.
You have Paul Dano in one scene when he's always like, "Hi guys, thanks for the tip on making these like bombs and stuff," and then like 2 scenes later, he's like, "You," and he's like, "You're like, whoa." Like,
yep.
Anyone. And you've mentioned One Bad Day a few times.
Depending,
we had the One Bad Days of Joker recently, last year, in fact, I think.
Oh, so good.
Like that series, it was a love-hate relationship with me. Some I was really glad about, and some I was like, why did you do this? You could have done something so much better.
Yeah.
But again, the One Bad Day thing is applicable more now than ever.
It's universal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's universal, and we see it every day on the real streets of the real world. But depending which multiple choice origin you pick for the Joker, at one point he was just an ordinary guy. And something happened in that guy's life. And obviously it was exacerbated by being dropped in a vat of toxic chemicals. But something happened in that guy's life to turn him into I'm sorry, but this is my honest opinion, the greatest villain in fiction.
I agree.
Yeah, he's up there.
Who else has had a constant 85-year publication?
Yeah, fair enough.
Only him. I mean, Hugo Strange may have appeared in early issues of Detective Comics before Joker, but then he vanished for decades and then was brought back in the 70s. Joker has been there since day one. Joker's been there just over a year less than Batman has. For a reason. That chaos, that insanity, that drive, that dark mirror image to Batman. Actually, no, the light mirror image, this is the thing I've coined during I Am the Night, where Batman is the demon, the devil, the figure of fear, and he's the good guy. And the Joker is light, laughter, and a clown, a figure of joy, and he's the evil one. It's that brilliant dichotomy and that opposites that makes them the greatest villains. I mean, everyone goes on about the Moriarty to Holmes. Moriarty appeared at the end of Holmes's life. He was never there from the beginning. Joker has been there almost since day one. So that's why I do agree that without the Joker, would Batman even be the Batman we know and love? Or would they have created some other kind of wacky villain without him if they had killed him off in Batman #1 as they were originally planning to do? I mean,
brings us
this
back
is
to
the best subject.
Mask of the Phantasm. The Joker was the one who pretty much robbed Bruce of the happy ending, wasn't he?
Yeah, completely.
Well, the happy beginning, even.
Yeah.
But there's also that imagery of the darkness being the heroic force and the light being the ally. That just makes me think to a lot of the symbolism in Steven Spielberg's movies.
Yeah.
Because they always portray like the dark caves as like the places of wonder in the Goonies, but also like the oppressive, huge lights that the FBI use, and from E.T.'s spaceship is this like terrifying thing, and even down to stuff like Schindler's List, where like horrific things happen in the light for all to see, but the darkness is where you can go to retreat, to be alone and be safe from those blinding, catastrophic things. So sometimes something sinister and dark can be helpful, and sometimes something joy and peaceful and light can be dangerous, which is why I think these two characters have stuck around in the public imagination for so long. They flip what we would expect completely on its head, but still feels real enough for us to keep coming back for more stories decades after decades.
And like Philip Pullman's his Dark Materials trilogy, where the ultimate villain is the authority, aka God, and the church. And the heroes are the people who are trying to stop religion and save the world from this mass brainwashing. And it's one of the greatest fantasies ever written. Where Batman is the demon but the hero, and Joker is the clown but the villain. I mean, it's just brilliant.
It really is.
James, Adam's really given us food for thought, haven't they?
I was hoping that this topic didn't
blown my mind.
blow over.
Because I've never had that thought. I've always thought of what
the other way around.
Yeah. We know what would happen to Joker without Batman. But what that effing heck would happen to Batman without the Joker?
I keep more and more things just keep coming into my head. Like,
say it.
Would he go full Norman Bates?
Ooh,
like,
maybe.
Oh my lord! Have the Joker's corpse in the Batcave and talk to it, and then
then go,
oh my lord! Could you imagine? Have you both read? I mean, I know James, you definitely have. Have you both read Neil Gaiman's "Whatever Happened to the Cape Crusader"?
Yep.
Where in one reality, Alfred becomes the Joker to keep Batman sharp and keep Batman fighting. Would Batman be fighting himself? He would be the Joker and he would be Batman, and obviously he'd never catch himself just to have the Joker in his life. I mean, that's something else that we haven't brought up. I mean, what if Bruce goes so Norman Bates, as you put it, that he becomes his own Joker? I mean, that...
He would know the Joker's, like, MO better than anyone alive. So, like, all the rest of the Bat family are, like, found another clue. It's definitely him. And, like, just... he's the only one who could probably do it to the T where everyone would believe it and no one would ever know.
Or does it go even more creepy and sinister where he's so obsessed, even though the Joker's very visibly gone, that all of the Bat family either go to Bloodhaven or found Teen Titans West, and then eventually he replaces the Shakespeare bust with what's left of the Joker's head, or the Joker's face after it got severed off.
Stop.
It's just the weird, creepy, dark stuff where it's just like, you have to tell me where the hostages are. And then he goes off and finds hostages that he'd like tied up like 4 days earlier.
Well, it's like Last Night on Earth, isn't it? Where Batman,
With the head, yeah.
yeah, the original Batman gets corrupt and becomes Omega, and one of the never-ending clones has to take him down. And Batman finds what's left of the Joker, and it's just a head in a jar. And he walks around with him as his constant companion until they put him on a robot body and Joker becomes Robin. I mean, that's as messed up as it possibly could get, but I could see a Batman without the Joker becoming,
And
terrifying.
let's face it, the DC Black Label yakety yaks would love that kind of a story, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
Get Lee Bermejo doing the art, they'd be all over it.
Yep. Get Lee on the art, but the three of us can like, it'd be like vignette styles of just like the world without smiles, and we all tell our takes on what Batman would be like without Joker.
Well, now that they're relaunching the Elseworlds imprint, so much stuff can happen. And there's rumours that they're bringing back Vertigo as well.
Oh, wow. Really? Ooh.
Yeah. I mean, Black Label's great, but there's something about Vertigo that's its own unique, beautiful, horrible, evil, wonderful thing. But with Elseworlds coming back and with our old friend Andy Diggle writing a Gotham by Gaslight series.
Yeah, that's going to be good.
Which I'm dying for. Like you said, James, these stories, DC, send the checks here, we'll write them.
Yep. World without smiles. I've already got it.
I know that, James, you'll probably pick Dan Mora to draw your issues.
Oh,
Yeah.
If Alex Ross is busy, I'll take Dan Mora. Like,
I feel like we'd have he could do my covers. I wouldn't be that fancy.
okay. Oh no, who would I want? Because like Alex Ross would draw it, but I don't know if Alex Ross would really capture the Hannibal Lecter wearing someone's face kind of like angle I'm going for here. Like,
because I think Adam would go for Mark Silvestri after Deadly Duel.
Oh, he just did such a beautiful job, and I want that vision of Gotham telling more stories of just Batman. Batman just going through the whole story, just like straight laced down the middle. But then you wonder why he's not talking to anybody else. Why is Wayne Manor in disrepair? Where's Alfred? Where's Tim? Where's Barbara? Where are all these people? Why has Jim Gordon retired? Where is everyone? But he's just like following the clues, and eventually he's like, finally, I caught him. Like severed limbs in one corner, like skins flaps over there, just like the messed up stuff. But that's just me and my weird brain.
And as for me, obviously I can't have Neil Adams anymore, and obviously near the end of the career he also decided he wanted to write, which never should have been allowed to happen. Sorry, may you rest in peace. I will love Neil Adams for the rest of my life. I've got a signed piece in my office, but he never should have been allowed to write. Silvestri, I was dreading that series because it took so long to come out, close to 10 years, that I thought, oh God, another artist who thinks he can write, but I was gladly proven wrong.
That was wonderful comments.
Great story. So if you've got Silvestri, and obviously begrudgingly James might take Alex Ross if he's free, I'd have to go for, and I can't believe, James, you of all people, for shame, didn't say Jim Lee.
I was thinking about Jim Lee, but I know
Hush is your favourite story ever.
Jim Lee would do a wonderful job on issues 1 and 2, and then we wouldn't get issue 3 out until 2026.
2027, yeah.
Yeah.
I think Jim's too busy running the whole ship.
Yeah, that's it.
He'll do a good.
Hush!
I know. But see, the reason.
No. We're talking about Joker and
Dan Mora.
Yeah.
Was World's Finest, and you see it and you think, those are superheroes. Yeah. Those are wonderful colors and smiling Superman and everything. Like, I don't really want the nicest, like, comic book drawings to then go to, like, Norma Bates. Like, I want a Lee Bermejo who draws Etrigan as a rapper and people's faces covered in boils. I want the gritty, grim. Is there color on that, or is it black and white kind of art? That's what.
That'd be exactly what you want for that kind of dark storytelling. But yeah, you're right. Hush is a completely different story in a world with no Joker.
Well, let's think about what Batman did. I mean, Batman's probably come closest to killing Joker in that story than in any other, because he shoots, or he believes he shoots,
Tommy Elliott.
Tommy Elliott, Hush, who you didn't know, well, we didn't know it was Hush at that point. But
Stop.
yeah,
Stop.
it's Jim Gordon that stops him. So maybe Jim wouldn't be the one to kill Joker.
I'm glad you brought us back to this, because like when we first suggested it, even with what happened to Barbara and what happened to him in The Killing Joke, he goes to Batman and says, "Buy the book." Yeah. No funny business, no murder. He's the one who stays down the middle as a lawman. So yeah, he would think about it. He would enjoy thinking about it. He'd consider it, but he would never do it.
Yeah,
just like Batman.
Yeah.
When Killing Joke did come out before Cataclysm.
Yes.
Oh yeah, long before
No Man's Land. So technically, he'd only had his daughter completely tortured and not his new wife murdered. So. Is that the straw that broke Jim Gordon's back?
Maybe.
But Hush came out after.
Just a little bit, I think. Yeah.
Hush was after Cataclysm and No Man's Land. So...
There's your answer, yeah.
Again... I'm not often lost for words, but this subject has really, really made me go.
I have been sitting on this subject for months. I still have the post-it note for it, just like squirreled away somewhere in my desk back in my house.
So let's throw this at you then, Adam, because obviously you brought this torture upon James and I, and we've tried to work our way around it everywhere we can. But what do you see happening to Batman in a world without a Joker?
I truly believe in a combination of what you both touched on and what I said just a little minute ago. Gotham City would not have any fear of any domestic terror. A lot of the villains would be comparable and fairly easy to defeat for Batman and the Bat family, and eventually taken to Arkham. And with all of the security holes that Joker blew up just because he could, all of those squared away. Some of them would be rehabilitated. Some of them need to be lifetime interred. Some of them would just like vanish into history. But peace of a kind would return to Gotham for a way that Gotham could turn into that high-tech utopia that we see in the Batman Beyond timeline. But Bruce Wayne would lose his mind one way or another. Either he would like turn Wayne Manor into this like paramilitary force of just like other vigilantes just like him, or he would become so obsessed with the things that you guys were talking about where he's not really dead. I know he's not dead. I know he has to be out there somewhere. He faked it. That was a body double. He cloned himself. Lazarus Pit, something. Or I would love to believe that eventually he finds some peace somewhere and that the rest of the Bat family goes on to do what they got to do. But I think the reason why he keeps saving him is because he knows that that's the benchmark he needs to keep meeting to be able to keep the Gotham City as a whole safe. And that's the evil he's moved on to since he forgave Joe Chill. That's something he needs to keep fighting. And so he has to keep saving him, has to keep resuscitating him, even if he's been shot up by onomatopoeia, has to just keep him around just so that he can keep himself stable, because he knows that if he doesn't have that kind of villainy to consistently fight, then he has no purpose.
Yeah, we could talk about this forever, because
we really could. I've
thought of something else now. You've spurred me on.
Do tell. We need to hear it.
Batman's greatest, like you mentioned earlier, Steve, like he believes in the rehabilitation.
Yeah.
What if the Joker was rehabilitated?
Just like in the White Knight timeline.
Not talking about like White Knight. I'm just talking like Joker's like, oh my God, what have I done? He gets his empathy back, and he's in Arkham, but he's not trying to get out anymore. Again, would Bruce believe him? You've wanted this your whole life. You've wanted this since we met day one. You've said, you haven't killed me because you want me to be rehabilitated. I am rehabilitated. I'm going to therapy. I'm not trying to break out. What then would Bruce do with an empathetic, rehabilitated Jack Napier?
Marry him and fall in love.
Yeah.
I
just look at the Lego Batman movie.
The way, and that way they're still together forever. I just think that Batman, Bruce Wayne, and whoever Joker is, whatever his real name is, and it's not Jack Napier, Sean Murphy. I love your work, and I always will because you're a G, but no. we don't ever want to know Joker's name. They destroyed Wolverine by revealing everything about him. What I loved about that character was his mystique, and now I prefer his daughter. I'd rather read about Laura than Logan. I never want to know Joker's name, even if Batman does. And that's the way I think they're going to keep it. I never want to know the full story. Joker Year One was brilliant because it showed sides of the Joker. It showed where the three Jokers came from. It tied in 85 years of Joker history beautifully, but didn't reveal a damn thing about who he was before he was the Joker. Now he does have a multiple choice history. Now he does have multiple origins, and they're all correct because they all happened in the comics and we read them. You just pick whichever's your favourite. That's the way it should remain. And what Batman would do without the Joker? Honestly, I don't want to know. I want to keep reading those stories forever.
I think that's the best answer.
Mic drop.
Yeah, that's the best answer.
Do you want to imagine Batman comics without the Joker in them?
No, it's like reading a Batman comic where you're like, oh, I see, this is a Scarecrow story. All right, well, I guess it'll get serious when the Joker shows up.
I mean, yeah. Joker in Nightfall takes a face load of Scarecrow toxin and laughs in Crane's face. That's all I have to say.
Laughs in Crane's face, and that makes Crane the figure of fear scared.
Yeah.
Says it all.
And so, then in War of Jokes and Riddles, he's the Riddler. Do I need to explain anything else? Like, Joker just dropping people left and right. Like,
so that's the answer. We don't want to know what would happen to Batman without the Joker.
Yeah, it really is the perfect ending.
Hilarious Joker toxin-filled note. Should we tell people where they can hear more from us?
I think that's a perfect place to leave it. Yes, absolutely. Let's start with the hero of the hour, Adam Ray, for dropping that bombshell on the two of us. Tell the world where they can hear you, see you, and read your work.
Well, I do turn my talents to perfecting podcasts products for your delightful ears, including this show and my other show, Fantastic Plays, here on the Fantastic Universes Podcast Network. You can also hear my dulcet tones and hear my production efforts on I Am the Night, the show that myself and my dear father to discuss retro reviews of Batman the Animated Series. Find my DC and Batman flavored reviews on Dark Knight News. Both Catwoman and Red Hood The Hill are in excellent spots right now. But as for my one true love, PC and tabletop gaming, read my reviews, interviews, and hot takes on our pride and joy, fantasticuniverses.com. Storytellers Forge for your own take on TTRPG goodness. And coming soon to Real Play podcast feed near you. I've already said too much. Wahaha. But I have many things. Follow me on Twitter @IsItTinkerer to find out all of those things and more.
James, where can Gothamites, Bloodhavenites, DC Universeites all over the planet and other universes find you?
I feel like I'm definitely not as visible as Adam, but if you want to read me saying, I told you that character was that character, then check me out on X as James Attias DC27. And if you want to read my opinions on the ongoing mini-series of DC, then I'm also a writer of darkknightnews.com, so check that one out. And you can hear my dulcet tones on here, Detective Comments. And you, Steve?
Oof, I'm not quite as prolific again as young Adam, but I'm still everywhere. Just search Steve J. Ray or Fantastic Universes or Steve J. Ray's Fantastic Universe to take you across all my mindless ramblings across Fantastic Universes, DC Comics News, Dark Knight News, and lots of other places to hear my voice on this show, on I Am the Night, and on the DC Comics News podcast. But until you do, hey, this has been Detective Comments. We're the detectives. We want to hear your comments. What do you think would happen to a world with no Joker? What would happen to Batman? What would happen to Gotham? What would happen to everyone? Let us know. Please like us, rate us, review us, subscribe, and tell the world. Tell your friends. Tell all your friends. I'm Batman.
And please join us again next time. Same bat time, same bat channel.